Ever since Boruto first displayed the Jougan, the first thing that came to mind were the abilities this Dojutsu would inevitably provide. And with Boruto now having the ability to perform Flyin Raijin despite not having someone who knew the formula, it does bring into question how he was able to acquire it. This then brings us back to the Jougan, because we've seen that this Dojutsu is very unique, in the sense that not only does it provide Boruto with the ability to travel across, see across, but also hear what the person is saying across dimensional barriers, it also takes it a step further, in that Boruto has the ability to interact with beings no longer in the plane of the living, as seen with Momoshiki, which could explain how he was able to learn the formula for Flyin Raijin. You see, this ability opens the door for many possibilities, one being Boruto eventually advancing the ability to the point where he can now temporarily resurrect the dead, or better yet, gain the ability to use the powers of the dead. Now I know that some people are going to say that this is a stretch, Boruto will never gain that ability, or that it doesn't make sense in the world of Naruto. However, the issue with that stance is that it's contradictory to what has been established in Naruto's lore, in that we've already seen this ability being used before on multiple occasions. In fact, the first time we saw this ability to use the power of the dead was when Kakashi gained Obito's Mangekyo Sharingans in the battle versus Kaguya. Initially, Obito died and was reduced to ashes after being impaled by Kaguya's ash bones, and we then see that he was then transported to another dimension or plane where he met his childhood friend that died over 20 years ago. Now of course we all thought that this was the end for Obito because he was now dead, but he then said that he had to help Kakashi one last time. And when he was asked by Rin if he could just leave the realm of the dead, Obito then said yes. Chakra is an energy that connects two worlds, which means the realm of the dead or the Pure Lands is connected to the realm of the living by chakra. He then used his Mangekyo ability that allows him to travel across dimensions to leave the plane of the dead and re-enter the plane of the living in the form of pure chakra. This same chakra then entered Kakashi's body, which allowed Obito to manifest within his psyche. Obito then informed Kakashi that he's going to give him one last gift, but it has a fixed time limit, so he needs to use it wisely. That's when you see Kakashi, who was just a normal ninja a few moments ago, brandishing both of Obito's Mangekyo Sharingans. Now when this initially happened, a lot of people said that it didn't make sense, as if we didn't just see Hagoromo come back from the dead and pass his chakra to Naruto and Sasuke, who later awakened the different abilities due to that chakra. So in fact it did make sense, but people just didn't want it to for some reason. Now with that being said, what people failed to realize is that the chakra Hagoromo gave to Naruto and Sasuke was also limited, as was the chakra Obito gave to Kakashi. And we even see later on that Obito was there the entire time watching over the battle, but the moment that time expired, he started to fade away, and so did the power of the Sharingan. Now the reason why this is different for Naruto and Sasuke is that while they did lose the chakra Hagoromo shared with them, since they can't reproduce his chakra since they're not Hagoromo, they were able to retain the awakenings they received. That's because, as stated in Naruto's manga, you can awaken Hagoromo's chakra by combining the chakra of his two sons, Ashura and Indra, and also that if this is done within the body of an Uchiha, they will awaken the Renegon. Now of course you could interpret this in multiple ways. You could just say that maybe this person has to be the descendant of Indra. You can't just place Indra's chakra into an Uchiha and awaken a Renegon, you know? So you can just interpret it that way, but it doesn't really matter in this instance. The point is that this was later confirmed in the manga itself, that Sasuke awakened the Renegon due to being given Hagoromo's chakra directly from Hagoromo, so he didn't need to awaken it by combining those two chakras. Now when it comes to Naruto, he retained a version of 6-path Sage Mode since he retained the chakra of all the Biju after the war ended. This provided him with 6-path Senjutsu chakra, as they did for Madara, who also gained 6-path Senjutsu after becoming the 10 Tails Jinchuriki. So Naruto, being a pseudo 10 Tails Jinchuriki, as he's referred to as in Boruto's novels, would also retain the power of 6-path Senjutsu due to the tailed beast. So in both cases where the characters kept the powers given to them by the dead, there's a logical explanation as to why that is the case. Kakashi doesn't meet that genetic requirement needed to awaken a Renegon like Sasuke did, so that perfectly explains why he wasn't able to achieve a permanent awakening. Now what you'd realize in both these examples is that the dead comes to the world of the living on their own, meaning that the person who received the powers didn't do it deliberately using any techniques. However, there's one example where this was the case. You see, Hagoromo, and I hate saying his name but it's just so hard to say, but Hagoromo knew that Naruto and the others had no way of getting back from Kage's dimension, so he needed a way to bring them back to the original dimension. He then decided to use a summoning jutsu, but then realized that he didn't have enough chakra to pull it off since he had given that chakra to Naruto and Sasuke. The jutsu itself also required a lot of chakra since he was summoning all of Team 7, Madara, and the 9 Biju from an unknown time space, so it does make sense. This is why he decided to summon the past 13 Gokages to the battlefield in order to use their chakra to power the jutsu. Hagoromo himself even states that he summoned them directly from the afterworld, which means the Pure Lands, as if this was some easy feat. Mind you, he summoned them because he was low on chakra, which actually speaks to the small amount of chakra needed to summon the dead in a similar way to how he did it. Now after this was all done, he was able to release the jutsu pretty easily and sent them back. Mind you, similar to how Obito was 100% himself and could converse with Kakashi, it was the same for the Gokages that were summoned. Now the obvious implication here is that if Boruto could use this unnamed ability used by Hagoromo, it's possible that he could not only use the power of the person he summons, but also converse and learn from them. This could also give some insight on a few things that happened in the past, for example what truly happened to the Uzumaki clan, and maybe even discover some sealing techniques that would allow Boruto to seal away Momoshiki's soul. But more importantly, that's more relevant to this video, it's also possible that Boruto would be able to summon the 4th or 2nd Hokage, which would allow him to learn Flyin Raijin. Now what's also interesting about the ability to use the power of the dead is that it appears to give the user full mastery over the power they received, because as seen with Kakashi, he was able to instantly use a perfect Susanoo when it stated that you need to have mastery over both your Mangekyous to awaken it. This shouldn't work for Kakashi since he has never used Obito's right eye before, which means that Obito's experience with that eye was also transferred over to Kakashi as well. This also makes the ability even more insane since Boruto doesn't need to train to master these abilities. Of course, this would be different if he was just taught how to use an ability rather than just the individual pouring their chakra into him as it was for Kakashi. Now that we've addressed the ability itself, let's go into why this makes sense for the Jougan. Now as I said before, we see that the ability was able to interact with Momoshiki in the spiritual realm. This is very similar to how Obito was able to interact with Kakashi after passing away, though the roles have been somewhat reversed, in the sense that in Kakashi's case, Obito uses ocular power that allows him to travel across dimensions to come back to the world of the living. Of course, with the assistance of 6 Paths Chakra, the same 6 Paths power Kakashi confirmed to have boosted Obito's ocular powers. Mind you, this was the same 6 Paths power that allowed Hagoromo to do the same thing with Naruto and Sasuke, so it does make sense. Now this is different in Boruto's case since he's the one who has the ocular power that allows him to hop across dimensions as shown in the anime. Not only that, when it comes to appearances, the Jougan is depicted as light blue in color with a darkened sclera, at least in the anime adaptation. And with that description, the first thing that comes to mind is the Edo Tensei Jutsu, created by Tobirama Senju, which allowed the caster to bind the soul of a deceased person to a living vessel. Now a key thing to note here is that the jutsu is only able to summon souls that reside in the Pure Lands, which is a place where souls of earthly beings generally reside in death. So if we assume that there is only one afterlife in the universe of Naruto for all beings, it's likely that this is where Momoshiki's soul went after he was destroyed by Boruto. Now to further back up this theory or speculation, whatever you want to call it, we can see that the environment in which Momoshiki implanted Boruto with his karma seal was not the same environment where the fight took place, basically. It's somewhat as if Boruto and Momoshiki was teleported to another dimension, an astral dimension. In this dimension, we can only see this reddish atmosphere with a black swirling pit beneath Momoshiki and Boruto. However, this only occurred in the anime, which generally expounds on the manga, but you could also consider the anime a separate continuity. I have to be honest about it. So in essence, I believe that this entire sequence or scenario took place due to the Jougan's ability to interact with the spiritual realm or the Pure Lands as you know it, which is very interesting since the Jougan translates to pure eye, so at face value you can also see why people would make that connection. However, even at a deeper level, this does make sense since the sequence only took place after the Jougan activated and started to pulsate with energy. We even zoomed into the Jougan, which then brought us to the next scene with Boruto in this unknown dimension, again with the Jougan pulsating. which by the way is something it hadn't done before this moment in time. And then Momoshiki asked Boruto if he could sense his presence as if he should not have been able to, which he then deduced was due to Boruto strongly inheriting the powers of the Otsutsuki after noticing Boruto's Jougan, which means, as the theory suggests, the Jougan was able to establish a connection between the land of the living and the Pure Lands, similar to what Obito did, and this is what allowed Momoshiki to interact with Boruto. Now, one thing to point out is that this happened during the chakra clash between Boruto and Momoshiki, which means that their chakra was connected, similar to how Obito connected his chakra to Kakashi. And what I also noticed is that every time the Jougan activated, it was when Boruto was in the presence of an Otsutsuki, or let's say a being or power tied directly to them, which could be Boruto's latent Otsutsuki power manifesting due to resonance, similar to the Karma Seal. With that said, we already know that Boruto is a descendant of both Hagoromo and Hamura, which means that he possesses both of their chakra. This could have triggered a chain reaction in Boruto which allowed him to manifest more Otsutsuki powers, somewhat similar to the ones Hagoromo manifested. Now of course this could be completely off base, because if Boruto awakened the Jougan, why isn't he using it now? Well, the simple answer to that question is there's a lot we don't know. Has he mastered using the Jougan? Did he accidentally use it to meet Minato, which means he simply can't control it as seen multiple times before? He could simply be in the same situation as his anime counterpart, so there's nothing contradictory there. So him not using it could have a logical explanation in universe, similar to how he isn't using the Karma Seal. Now if I was a betting man, I would say probably not, but I'm open to it. Also, even if he doesn't have this ability right now and he just learned Flyin Raijin some other way, he could simply acquire the ability in the future, so we'll just have to wait and see. Anywho, that's it for the video itself. I don't want to extend it any longer than it needs to be, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And in regards to my prior video about Kawaki being Jura, or Kawaki being copied by Jura, if I see anyone say it's Iruka, I'm just gonna not like your comment, okay? I'm just gonna not like your comment, because I don't know what else I could do. Like, there's nothing I can do, you know, aside from not liking your comment, you know. I guess I could say you're wrong, but you know, like, guys, come on, it's not Iruka, please, like, just stop. It's not Iruka, it's either Kawaki or Jougan, okay? I won't accept anything else. Gaara is irrelevant, right? He's not relevant to the series. It would be weird if he suddenly becomes relevant, okay? Naruto is not the most important person to Gaara. He hasn't been in years. He has his sister and his brother who he loves, and he also has his own adopted son, okay? Let's leave Gaara in the background where he deserves to be, and it's not Iruka, and it's not Ninja 61678, okay? I don't even need to say his name. It's just not Ninja 6178. It has to be Kawaki or Jougan or Ishiki. But if you guys disagree, that's fine. With that being said, let me know your thoughts on this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.